I am really excited to share with you all about my latest film. So when I'm not teaching, I make movies and films. So today what we're going to do is we're going to watch my latest film that I just finished earlier this week. And the title is right there, Parkour, the Art of Practice. And so it's about 5 minutes, so we'll watch it. And then I'm going to give you a behind the scenes look at how I made the film.
Sparkplug Creations, media that sparks change.
With our experience in parkour, there's things that will just like pop up as though they're highlighted like a video game. You'll see certain objects that you can be like, I can Kong over that. Or hey, I can dash vault over that. Or I can cat to that. You'll start seeing more and more things, and you'll start finding patterns and lines and just put things together. At school, it was a daily thing that if there was something to climb on, I would climb on it. Why walk in a straight path where everyone else walks when you could just climb up that thing 10 times faster? It started off because I just saw it on YouTube and I thought it was cool. I wanted to be like people in video games and be able to climb on roofs. But then I realized it was more than that. Such a rush. I love movement and feeling that rush of adrenaline and serotonin and dopamine as I'm jumping between one object and another, climbing up real fast, feeling like I could fall, but I'm not going to because I'm confident enough in my movement. Part of kind of risking your life, you're finding your life. That in that like almost dying and breaking your neck, that you're also making your neck stronger and your soul stronger and every part of your body stronger, so that walking upstairs or flipping upstairs becomes just a simple task, as though like it's like crawling when you're a baby. It becomes part of your body, and like it started off as just something that was cool, but then as I did it, it became part of me, and now I just find myself moving all the time. So I mean, it's definitely taught me how to like deal with other obstacles in life, so to speak, because you have to think about like the practice that goes into that. Like before I can do a front flip, I have to just learn how to do like a front handspring, and that kind of talks about life. Before you can do calculus, you have to just get good at algebra. Before you can graduate from high school, you have to learn how to just be in high school. You have to go through the obstacles as though you've never gone through them, just so you can get past them. You can't act as though you can get through everything. You have to practice.
instead of a low look up, like I think we can kind of be low and we can just rise really slowly and steady.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about how I made the film. So it was actually last year, I was teaching right here, and that table was right there. And Skippy comes running, and he jumps over that table feet first. And I had to do a double take. I was like, what was that? It's parkour. And I was like, you do parkour? And he said, yeah, me and Jesse do it all the time. So I got to talking with him and I was like, you know, it'd be really cool to do a documentary sometime. And he's like, yeah, I'm totally down, let's do it. So it was last summer, 2017, this past summer, where I had some time and I reached out to him on Facebook and said, you know, do you have some time? Let's do some filming. I want to do this. So we did that and I started writing some design documents. So this was definitely the explore phase for me. I researched what other documentaries were out there. There's a lot of short documentaries like mine, but there's also a few feature-length, over 1 hour length documentaries. So in the document, I also wanted to cover the visual style, like what did I want it to look like? There were other films that I was really inspired by that used a lot of slow motion and that were really cinematically composed well. I wanted to have the interviews be really interesting, not just somebody sitting down in a chair against a blank wall. I wanted them to be really dynamic. And sound design, I really wanted to improve over the sound design from my last movie that I released. So, yeah, production took about 10 months from the time that I started thinking about doing it to releasing it on, I haven't really technically released it, but my finished version was done on Tuesday. So you are truly the first people to really see it in a public venue. Filming parkour is really, really hard. I didn't think it would be as hard as it was. So I first started out trying to sit on a skateboard. I have a really fat, wide skateboard, and I tried to sit on it, and I had a production assistant, one of my friends, either push me or pull me, and I tried going in a straight line. But the skateboard is really sensitive, so anytime my weight shifted, I was turning, and I didn't want to turn. I wanted to go in a straight line. So I had to refine this and try rollerblading. So I play ice hockey. I can skate really well on the ice, but rollerblading is totally different. And I was actually more afraid of falling and breaking the camera than hurting myself. So I didn't want to do that. So one of the people that helped me that was in the credits, Joshua Colton, I know that you recognize him. He has a drone. And also his friend. So he and his friend came with drones, and that's where we got the best footage that was really dynamic and really captured the motion of parkour. So this is my timeline. This is the work that I've done. The video track up here, these are all of what I call the B-roll. That's all the footage of the parkour of them jumping and running and so on, and also the interview clips of Jesse and Skippy talking. And most of what you see here is the sound design work. So these two tracks up here are for audio. I have sound effects, so a lot of times when they jump or land, I added a sound effect to really emphasize that movement. Then I have 2 tracks for atmospheric environmental audio. So I actually went to that space without them one time, and I just I recorded audio for about 5 minutes of just the wind blowing, birds were chirping. You could hear traffic on Franklin Boulevard. And so I just added that to create more of a physical sense of the space. And then I have 2 different tracks for music as well. So let's talk about some visual effects. At one point, Skippy says when they look at their environment, they view it as though it's like a video game and certain objects will highlight. And so one of the things I wanted to do with my editing was make it really fun and energetic. So this glitch effect was really popular at the time. And so the way that I made this is that I created 2 different compositions within After Effects. So that's a special effects software. So I created 2 different compositions, and one had a fractal map on it. So this is the fractal map that I had to make. And the other composition was a video of Skippy. And on that composition with Skippy, I applied an effect called a displacement map. And then that displacement map had to link to this fractal map. And so that fractal map is what is really distorting the image of Skippy. So I'm really, the thing that I'm probably most proud of is this logo design, because I'm not a graphic designer, and this was really just a happy accident that I stumbled upon and created. So I was working on the video, and I came across this frame of Jesse doing a one-handed handstand, and I was like, hey, that kind of looks like the letter K. I wonder if I could turn that into a part of the logo. So I brought the video into After Effects, and I masked it, sort of like cutting him out, but I created it as a shape, and I filled that with white, added shadow. Then I removed the video, added text, and I didn't want the text to be all smooth and refined. I really liked the hard edge of the K, of Jesse. And so I lowered the opacity of the text so that I could just have it in the background and draw over it. And then I drew the rest of the letters of the same style. And I really like how it turned out, because I feel like this is a visual metaphor for what the film is about. It's about practice and how necessary practice is. And practice isn't pretty, it's not refined, it's not perfect. And so I really like how the letters kind of match that idea. So color correction is another thing that I had to do. We actually filmed with 3 different cameras, and we had probably 4 different looks, colors in the cameras. One of the days that we filmed was actually during the really horrible forest fires that we were having. And so we had this really weird post-apocalyptic kind of orange haze. And so this one on your right is actually not from that day. That's from a camera that wasn't color calibrated correctly. But you can see the difference. When I do color correction, they then match and look like they were filmed on the same day with the same camera. As artists, we all struggle with perfection. We think that there's this level of perfection that we can reach, and I struggle with that in my art and in myself. But there's really no such thing as perfection. As soon as you reach the next level in your skills, there's another level that you aspire to get to. So there's no end destination of like, everything's perfect and great now. So you have to realize that good enough is friggin' great. This is something that I had to learn when I worked on my last film that actually took 6 years to make, because I was so consumed with like making it perfect. So don't avoid the obstacles. As Jesse says, don't avoid the obstacles. You need them to grow. And as long as you're committed to that practice that you need to develop your skills, you're going to get better and better over time. So I hope this was inspiring for you or interesting in some way. Thank you for your time. So I think we do have, 5 minutes? Yeah, so if there are any questions that people are interested in asking me, I am open to that. Andy and then Matilda.
So the color correction, I've never actually thought about that before, because I'm not a filmmaker. Is that a computer? So you talked a lot about After Effects programs you run it through. Is that like a one button on a computer program, or is that like a whole process?
It's a whole process. Yeah, it's a whole process. So you could use After Effects. I use Adobe Premiere to do this. And so what you're going to have is you're going to have different sliders and levels for like brightness and contrast. You're going to have...
Does the program evaluate the native film and sort of say it's this bright and this colored, and then you can look at the different ones and adjust them, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's visual tools. It can give you visual information of what kind of color information you're getting. There's also automatic buttons that you can press and it can try and figure it out for you, like what it's supposed to be. And then there's a lot of options that you can change and manually adjust.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, color correction and color grading is it's really fun because it's so visual. You know, like if you're doing something in programming, you spend weeks or months trying to write something and then you see the result. But this, you press a few buttons, change some sliders, and you see the results immediately. So it's almost addicting in a way. It's like, oh, cool, I can make somebody's blonde hair red. Nice. So, any other questions? Yeah, Matilda.
What was your last film, and how do you feel about like that compared to?
Right. So my last film was called Wanted Crohn's End. It's about people with inflammatory bowel diseases that use controversial alternative treatments when their other conventional treatments don't work for them. So it's a health-related documentary, and I was learning as I was making it. So there's a lot of mistakes that I made in it, and what I'm really most proud of in that film is the stories. Like, it's about personal stories. It's not just health information, but I really get intimate with like the difficulties and the struggles that people have. And I think that's really important. Like when you tell stories, you want that human emotional element because that's what really inspires people to make change. And that's what I wanted my film to be about. I wanted it to inspire people to change, either themselves or even the healthcare system that isn't working for people. So I'm really happy with the story and the editing, but the technical elements of like sound and the camera quality, the image wasn't all that great. So there's things like that where this is my best work that I've done. So yeah, and then even watching this, you know, there's another level that I want to get to, like the sound design. I had never done that to this level in this film, and I think some of the sounds don't really fit all that well with the motion of them landing, or like maybe it's too strong. And so sound design is an area that I want to improve on.
So you know the part in the film where Skippy says like when he's parkouring he sees things like highlighted and then the garbage can. How did you do that?
Yeah, so that's in After Effects. I basically created a layer. So it's an object on top of the video, and I colored that object red and I made it transparent so you could see through it. And I added an outline around that object. Yeah. It's very similar to Photoshop.
I really liked that.
Okay. All right, well, I think you all have to head out to your next event, but thank you so much. You were great.